for variety of sectors and categories like professional, digital and connected domains, automation and controls, healthcare, consumer, lighting, automotive, industrial, FMCG, crafts and education space. He has experience of setting up design function, building collaborative network and managing creative process in multicultural environments. He has proficiency in strategies for customers' problems and value, high-level consulting, setting up design function, facilitation of end-to-end collaborative people-centric design, consulting for large, small, medium business, designing for emerging markets, co-creation for social innovation and design for sustainability, user experience design across customer user journey, design management. Please felicitate our today's chief guest, Shri Unmesh Kulkarni sir. Now I would request our academic dean, Madan sir, to please felicitate. So already you have aware about our principal sir, Dr. Dongre sir, to please guide us.
Good morning. Good morning. आजच्या कार्यक्रमाचे प्रमुख पाहुणे आणि CSMSS College of Polytechnic चे सर्व HODs, फॅकल्टी मेंबर, ॲट द लास्ट बट नॉट लिस्ट आमचे सर्व लाडके विद्यार्थी. आपणाला सर्वांना माहिती आहे की आपण छत्रपती शाहू महाराज शिक्षण संस्थेमध्ये 5ही कॉलेजेसमध्ये आयुर्वेद असेल, डेंटल असेल, ॲग्रिकल्चर, पॉलिटेक्निक किंवा इंजिनिअरिंग याच्यामध्ये नेहमीच आग्रह असतो की विद्यार्थी सेंट्रिक जेवढं काही करता येईल आपल्याला तेवढं केलं पाहिजे. कारण विद्यार्थ्यांना ऑलराऊंडर पर्सनॅलिटी डेव्हलप होण्यासाठी या सगळ्या गोष्टी महत्त्वाच्या असतात. करिक्युलम, सिलेबस, विषय, सब्जेक्ट्स, एक्झामिनेशन हे तर अतिशय महत्त्वाचं आहेच आहे. दॅट इज फर्स्ट प्रायोरिटी. पण याच्यासोबत तुमचं ओव्हरऑल डेव्हलपमेंट झालं पाहिजे आणि हे होण्यासाठी तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना या सगळ्या एक्सपोजर्स मिळाल्या पाहिजे. त्यामध्ये इंडस्ट्री, इन्स्टिट्यूट, इंटरॅक्शन असेल, सोशल वर्क असेल किंवा तुमच्या काही जगामध्ये कॉम्पिटिशन प्रचंड आहे आणि ही कॉम्पिटिशन जेव्हा आपण फेस करतो तेव्हा आपल्यामध्ये ज्या बेसिक क्वालिफिकेशन्स असतात ह्या तर सगळ्यांमध्ये असू शकतात. जसं पॉलिटेक्निक पास होऊन आपण बाहेर पडलो तर सगळेच पॉलिटेक्निक पास होऊन बाहेर पडलेले त्यांच्याकडे MSBTचं सर्टिफिकेट आहे. परंतु मग इंडस्ट्रीमध्ये आपण जेव्हा जाऊ किंवा आपण जेव्हा मार्केटमध्ये जाऊ तेव्हा आपलं सिलेक्शन होण्यासाठी आपल्याकडे ॲडिशनल काय हे पाहिलं जातं. मग तुमच्यामध्ये कुठल्या कुठल्या चांगल्या गोष्टी आहेत त्या पाहिल्या जातात. तुम्ही कशा पद्धतीने बिहेव करता हे पाहिलं जातं. तुमच्यामध्ये ॲडिशनल कम्युनिकेशन स्किल चांगला आहे का हे पाहिलं जातं. तुमची स्टेज डेअरिंग कशी आहे हे पाहिलं जातं. तुम्ही कशा पद्धतीने लोअर अँड अप्पर म्हणजे तुमचे सबऑर्डिनेट असतील किंवा तुमचे बॉस असतील हे सगळं त्या ठिकाणी महत्त्वाचं असतं. तुम्हाला आउटपुट काढण्यासाठी तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना टीम वर्क म्हणून, टीम मध्ये काम करताना टीम वर्कचा एक हिस्सा म्हणून या टीमचं आउटपुट किंवा एफिशियन्सी वाढवण्यासाठी काय केलं पाहिजे अशा एक ना अनेक गोष्टी या एज्युकेशनच्या दरम्यान आपल्याला शिकायच्या असतात आणि ते शिकणं गरजेचं असतं. आणि म्हणूनच आपण या CSMSS पॉलिटेक्निक मध्ये तुम्हाला माहिती असेल की आपण MBA ॲक्रेडिटेशनसाठी जाणार आहोत. MBAचा लॉंग फॉर्म तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे, नॅशनल बोर्ड ऑफ ॲक्रेडिटेशन, जी नॅशनल लेवलची बॉडी आहे. गव्हर्नमेंट ऑफ इंडियाने त्याला मान्यता दिलेली असते आणि संपूर्ण भारतामधले जे कॉलेजेस आहेत या कॉलेजेसला एक ॲक्रेडिटेशन म्हणजे त्यांना मान्यता देण्याचं काम ही NBA किंवा नॅशनल बोर्ड ऑफ ॲक्रेडिटेशन करत असतं. या MBA झालेल्या कॉलेजेसमधून जे विद्यार्थी पास आउट होतील या विद्यार्थ्यांना इंटरनॅशनल काही एज्युकेशन घ्यायचं असेल किंवा जॉब करायचा असेल तर त्यांना पुन्हा कुठला इक्विव्हॅलन्स देण्याची किंवा इक्विव्हॅलन्स सर्टिफिकेट देण्याची गरज नाही. ॲट द एंड ऑफ युअर डिप्लोमा तुमच्या डिप्लोमा झाल्यानंतर तुमच्याकडं काय काय आलं पाहिजे, तो त्याचा आउटकम, या एज्युकेशनचा आउटकम काय, तुमच्यामध्ये कुठल्या कुठल्या क्वालिटी येणं अपेक्षित आहे. तर प्रत्येक प्रॅक्टिकलला, ज्याला PROज म्हटलं जातं, प्रत्येक प्रॅक्टिकल केल्यानंतर तुम्हाला त्याच्यातून काय शिकायला मिळेल हेही बघितल्या जातं. आणि मग असं जर प्रत्येक लेवलला तुमचं आउटकम काय आहे हे जर पाहायचं असेल आणि ते जर आउटकम मिळवायचं असेल तरच आपल्याला आउटकम बेस्ड एज्युकेशन म्हणजेच OBE करिक्युलम फॉलो करावा लागतो. आणि म्हणूनच आपण सगळे विद्यार्थी, तुम्ही सगळेजण लकी आहात की तुम्हाला या सगळ्या प्रोसेसमधून जाता येते. तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना ते माहिती आहे की OBE नीट आहे का, टू प्रोव्हाइड व्हॅल्यू बेस्ड टेक्निकल एज्युकेशन so as to meet the needs of industry and society. म्हणजे आपलं ध्येय काय, विजन काय, की तुम्हाला एज्युकेशन द्यायचंय. कोणत्या प्रकारचं एज्युकेशन द्यायचंय? यस आन्सर. कोणत्या प्रकारचं टेक्निकल एज्युकेशन द्यायचंय, बरोबर आहे. परंतु ते कशावर बेस्ड असलं पाहिजे, कशावर आधारित असलं पाहिजे? व्हॅल्यू बेस्ड. व्हॅल्यू म्हणजे माहिती आहे तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना, ज्या बेसिक आपल्या मोरल व्हॅल्यूज असतात त्या सगळ्यांना माहिती आहे. जसं तुम्हाला माहिती आहे की मी आत्ता सांगितलं, पॅरेंट्सचा, टीचरचा रिस्पेक्ट करणं ही एक व्हॅल्यू झाली. तुम्ही एखादं चॉकलेट कॅम्पसमध्ये खाल्लं, त्याचं रॅपर रस्त्यावरती टाकलं, व्हॅल्यू नाही आहे ती. त्याचं रॅपर आपण एक तर डस्टबिनमध्ये टाकावं, तिथं नसेल डस्टबिन तर आपल्या बॅगमध्ये, सॅकमध्ये ठेवावं किंवा पॉकेटमध्ये ठेवावं. जिथं डस्टबिन दिसेल त्या ठिकाणी ते टाकावं. दॅट इज गुड व्हॅल्यू. तुम्हाला जर एखादा तुमचा फ्रेंड अडचणीमध्ये असेल किंवा त्याला मदतीची गरज असेल तर आपण त्याला हेल्प करणं, मदत करणं ही व्हॅल्यूज आहे. कुठल्याही अननेसेसरी किंवा कुठल्याही ज्याला गरज नसताना कुणाला ट्रबल होईल, त्रास होईल असं आपण न वागणं, दॅट इज व्हॅल्यू. तर या सगळ्या व्हॅल्यूज तुम्हाला इन्कल्केट करायच्या. एज्युकेशन कोणतं घ्यायचं आहे? टेक्निकल. जरा जोरात. टेक्निकल घ्यायचे, परंतु कशावर बेस्ड असलं पाहिजे? व्हॅल्यू बेस्ड. टू प्रोव्हाइड व्हॅल्यू बेस्ड टेक्निकल एज्युकेशन. कशासाठी घ्यायचंय मग? सो ॲज टू मीट द रिक्वायरमेंट्स किंवा नीड्स ऑफ इंडस्ट्री अँड सोसायटी. कशासाठी घ्यायचंय? तर ज्या इंडस्ट्रीच्या नीड्स आहेत आणि ज्या सोसायटीच्या नीड्स, फक्त इंडस्ट्रीच्या नीड्स नाही, इंडस्ट्रीच्या नीड्स पूर्ण करायला रोबोट पण आहे. आपल्याला सोसायटीच्या नीड्स सुद्धा पूर्ण करायच्या. ज्या सोसायटीमध्ये एकमेकांना माणूस म्हणून आपल्याला जगायचं आहे ते सुद्धा आपल्याला पूर्ण करायचं आहे. आणि म्हणून हे सगळं करण्यासाठी आपल्याला हे शिक्षण घ्यायचं. तर सगळेजण पुन्हा एकदा मला, व्हॉट इज विजन ऑफ इन्स्टिट्यूट? टू प्रोव्हाइड व्हॅल्यू बेस्ड टेक्निकल एज्युकेशन so as to meet the needs of industry and society. सगळ्यांना लक्षात आलंय की नाही? आता तुमच्यापैकी एक जण पटकन पळत स्टेजवर येऊन कोण सांगेल फास्ट? बघूयात कोणाकडे लिडरशिप क्वालिटीज आहे. फास्ट एकदम 3 म्हणेपर्यंत. 1 चुकलं तरी चालेल. 1 2 no one is there. Yeah, big hand. तुझं नाव सांग मोठ्याने.
Hello friends, my name is Khan Asif Arif. Our vision of CSMSS College of Polytechnic is to provide the value-based technical education for the needs of industries and our society. Thank you.
Our vision of institute is to provide a value-based and technical education to meet the requirement of industry and society. Thank you.
एकदा दोघांसाठी जोरदार टाळ्या. या घटनेवरून मी 2 गोष्टी तुम्हाला सांगणार आहे. तुम्ही याच्यात काय शिकला? पहिली गोष्ट, अपॉर्च्युनिटी सगळ्यांना मिळत नसते. जेवढे विद्यार्थी या हॉलमध्ये आहेत त्यांना ही अपॉर्च्युनिटी मिळाली. जे या हॉलमध्ये प्रेझेंट नाही आहेत, जे अब्सेंट आहेत, त्या विद्यार्थ्यांना ही अपॉर्च्युनिटी मिळालीच नाही. दुसरी गोष्ट, ज्या विद्यार्थ्यांना, तुम्हा सगळ्यांना ही अपॉर्च्युनिटी इक्वल होती. मी सगळ्यांना आवाहन केलं होतं, मी दोघांनाच नाही केलं, पण त्या अपॉर्च्युनिटीचं सोनं करण्याचं काम फक्त त्या दोघांना. तिसरी सगळ्यात महत्वाची गोष्ट, त्यांना हे माहित नव्हतं की इथं गेल्यानंतर प्राइज मिळणार आहे. म्हणजे फळाची अपेक्षा न करता ते इथं आले, पण फळ मिळून गेलं. त्यांना 500-500 रुपये बक्षीस मिळालं. म्हणजे याचा अर्थ काय की यू मस्ट हॅव द लिडरशिप क्वालिटीज. तुमच्याकडे ते असल्या पाहिजे. यू मस्ट बी रेडी ऑलवेज. तुम्ही प्रत्येक गोष्टीला, चांगल्या गोष्टीला नेहमी तयार असला पाहिजे. प्रत्येक वेळी इनिशिएटिव्हनेस असला पाहिजे तुमच्यामध्ये. म्हणजे स्वतः म्हटलं पाहिजे तुम्ही टीचरला की सर मी पेपर प्रेझेंटेशनमध्ये पार्टिसिपेट होणार, मी क्विज कॉम्पिटिशनमध्ये पार्टिसिपेट होणार, पेपर कसा तयार करायचा, त्याचं फॉर्मॅट काय असतं ते मला सांगा. तुम्ही प्रत्येक वेळी प्रोजेक्ट कॉम्पिटिशनमध्ये पार्टिसिपेट झालं पाहिजे. फळ मिळेल नाही मिळेल दॅट इज अनदर थिंग, परंतु तुम्हाला तुमच्या लिडरशिप क्वालिटीज आणि इनिशिएटिव्हनेस हे दाखवता आलं पाहिजे. आणि हेच याच्यातमधून आपल्याला शिकायचं आहे. पुन्हा एकदा तुम्हाला सगळ्यांना खूप खूप शुभेच्छा. आणि सरांचं मी बराच वेळ केला त्याबद्दल पुन्हा एकदा सरांचं या ठिकाणी स्वागत करतो आणि माझे 2 शब्द संपवतो. थँक्यू सो मच.
For the today's guest lecture. Now I request Sri Chaudhary sir to please put lights on the magic organization, what the magic is and what is the work of magic. So please welcome Chaudhary sir.
Good morning all. This is Shakir Chaudhary, Senior Manager at Magic. So basically what is Magic? Magic is Marathwada Accelerator for Growth and Incubation Council. We are the business incubator and accelerator. If you have an idea, you want to be an entrepreneur, you want to set up your business. So you have an idea but you don't know what to do. It's how to begin with. So we as a Marathwada Accelerator for Growth and Incubation Council, we are here to help you out for giving you the mentoring, plus we support you for prototypes. We help you to bring your prototype in scalable business and that scalable business in an acceleration mode. So this is our working. So we have up till now supported 4,000 plus startups, students, MSME. We have conducted around 100 plus workshops, seminars and webinars like this. We have incubated, it's like students like you who have come to us and we have incubated in last 3 years 34 startups whose cumulative revenue is around 3.4 CR. We have no boundaries, like any age, any gender can be a part of Magic. We don't have any education limitations. We have 8 pass in 34 startups. We have 8 pass is the minimum age with us, and we have PhDs and doctorates with us. So this is the wide range. Today's design thinking workshop is basically to evaluate your thinking capacity. Actually, we were focusing for a very limited crowd, but due to yesterday we were not able to come, and today we have a huge number of crowd. Thank you to Very sir and Ankit for arranging this number. And would love Umesh sir would bring more light about what is design thinking and how you should think and how you should bring up your idea into a project. And that project can be actually converted to a product, and that product can be actually a business. So thank you, that's it from my side, and I would invite Umesh sir to please guide us about the design thinking. Thank you. Use them as and when. has been into it. So what I want to ask you is, how many of you are from engineering faculty? Engineering. All are engineering? Polytechnic. All of you? And how many of you are from mechanical engineering? Not there? Oh, sorry. Which ones are there? Computer, electronics and electric. Okay. So you're all from computer science, computer engineering, electrical and electronics, right? So how many of you want to become entrepreneurs? Start your own product, startup, business. Okay, very few hands up. How many of you want to take up jobs? All the rest? Okay. So why do you think in the job you don't need to be an entrepreneur? Okay. So let's start from there. Okay. So I think what Umesh mentioned, I think it's extremely important. And I wish I had such lecture when I was a student. This is a value-based technical education. So, and he explained what values means in a very simple terms. But it could mean a lot of things, right? A lot of things for a lot of people. So I think value-based technical education you're undergoing, that means you're not just learning to use technology or engineering. You're learning to be a good citizen, you're learning to become a good member of society, good member of family, right? Correct? Yeah? So how do you become that? So suppose, imagine you're designing an electronic product for, say, healthcare. So how does your value-based technical education comes in picture? How does it help? Do you think it helps? Yes or no? Yes. How does it help? It helps because you inculcated some human values, and human value also means empathy. Empathy is not exactly sympathy. Empathy is feeling what other person feels, right? So if you're designing a medical equipment and if you don't know what the patient is feeling or what doctor is facing the problem, you cannot design that equipment, right? So you need to understand what the situation is, right? So and there your value-based technical education comes in, because you're not just one engineer, but you're also somebody who can think. Think from patient's point of view, think from doctor's point of view, right? Isn't it? Yeah? So if you could create something for some such situation, right? So that's what design is all about. So how many of you heard of word design or design thinking, I would say? Anybody's heard design thinking? You heard? So anybody has heard design thinking? No. So okay, so let me start by that. So what we just discussed, value-based technical education, and how do you apply it in the real life? I gave you example of healthcare equipment, suppose X-ray machinery, or you're doing a designing something which has electronics, electricals, computer, everything. So when you're designing that, you have to think of what the patient feels. Because imagine somebody needs to go through the X-ray machine, feels nervous, right? You feel real stress, right? And the doctor needs to get right kind of results, right? So that's what happens in a real situation. And to know how people are feeling there is all about, that's what is design thinking about. So before we start designing something, we need to understand what is going to happen, who's going to use, who other people are involved in the particular use. So that is design in a simple terms. So let me ask you one more question. Any of you can stand up. This is like an opportunity challenge that Umesh gave you. So Any of you can stand up and tell me the most amazing product that is. Quickly. Any product. What happened? Okay, now I'm going to select volunteers. So, they say in China, Chinese volunteer. So Chinese volunteer, they say, okay, you are the volunteer. So tell me any great product like this in pictures or used. No? How? So many innovative products around us. At home we use so many traditional innovative products. Yes. Sorry? Filter. What filter? Water filter. Okay. So it's very innovative to clean the water and make it safe to drink. Right? That's it. Anybody else? Yes. No, which one? Computer. Computer is really innovative addition to our life because we can communicate, we can do so many things. Right? It has increased our capability. Fantastic. Anything else? Many, thousands of years. African culture, we have part of a culture. So what is innovative about it? What is innovative about it? And what else? Have you tried pouring water out of this? It's very easy, right? You can drink water like that. Right? You can hold it by neck. Right? And it has a small mouth, so you can keep it covered. Right? So nothing goes inside. So it's very different from a bucket. Right? So imagine, and even the material, it's made out of copper or brass or something. Right? So it's very healthy. So somebody who innovated something such a long time ago, still we are using it. So we do always have a lot of innovative things around us. And this is one of the most innovative products India has produced. For thousands of years, it still lasts. So there are a lot of design studies around this. What else? I want 2-3 examples. Maybe give an example. Okay. Talk to large crowd. So it has some identifiers. So all I'm trying to say here is there's so much of innovation that's happening around us. We have to have our eyes and ears open. Like why something is done this way. When we touch a lota or a matka, we have to ask the question, why is it like this? What is the traditional thought behind it? What is the principle, scientific principle behind it? Why does it work? So we have to have that curiosity. Right? To have the curiosity about objects or systems around us. Yeah? So have you thought about how steam engine works, or how it works, or how does things in the house cycle? So I think these are all extremely innovative products which have come up over a long period of time. So if you see, they are also evolved as our needs. So we always have some needs. So move. So so they would walk. Then they started to use horses or animals. Then somebody invented a wheel, so they started to use cars. Speed increased, capacity also increased. And then slowly, cars got more efficient. Then eventually,
सर
it was
इथपर्यंत वॉल्यूम नाही येते सर.
नहीं येते ओके आता येतोय हां ओके सो आपल्याला लक्षात आलं पाहिजे की कुठलीही गोष्ट अशी इव्हॉल्व होते त्याच्यात माणसांची नीड किंवा आपल्या सोसायटीची नीड कन्सिडर केलेली असते आणि दॅट इज व्हॉट इज industry and society aspect comes in. So when transport was invented, say railways or cars or buses, so it was not just individual need, but how society wants to grow, right? How cities will be built, how we connect villages. There are several considerations. So we have to remember, no? So there's always a need for a larger society, and then the products evolve. And whatever you have to do to think about how to make these products usable by larger society is what design thinking allows you to do. It makes you think. Now, suppose somebody says, I don't want to become a designer. I want to work in a production, or I want to work in some process industry, or I want to do something else. So do I need it? So my answer is yes, you need it. Now ask me why. So I would say few things. One is, any job you do, you need to understand why you're doing something. Who is it benefiting? And I think that will help you do that job much better. And I think that's extremely important. You have to understand that you have a responsibility as an engineer. So if you make a product, you'll make thousands of them, and that's going to affect people's lives, is going to affect environment, is going to affect everything, right? Correct? So suppose all of you work in a mobile phone company. Tomorrow there's a big company comes in Aurangabad and they give you all of your job. So you'll realize that somebody might work in design, somebody might work in production, somebody might work in software, embedded software, whatever. So you'll realize that you're producing thousands of phones every minute. Okay? So what does it mean? It's a great thing for people, right? Because then they get a lot of good phones cheaper, right? They supply in the market. So they can do a lot of things. But it also means you'll have a lot of phones lying in the environment after 2 years, 3 years if they don't work. So there's an environmental impact, there's a societal impact. And if your phone is not safe, then there could be safety issues. Or if it works for children, not works for children. So all those things are very important. So all I'm trying to tell you is, whenever you do something as an engineer, okay, you have a lot of responsibility. So just solving a problem doesn't help. You need to understand how does your solution or a product impact society, planet, that's our earth, environment, and people. You have to always think, how does it impact all these things? And design is all about it. Is that clear? Anybody has a question? No? So I'll give you some examples. So I'm just quickly put together some examples from some of the projects I've done in the last 20-25 years. So they may not be latest, they may not look right or right for today, but I want to explain you thought that is gone behind. So let's stay here. So this was a project we were trying to do innovation projects. What is right for India? And what we realized was we have a lot of catchment issues or retinal problems or eye problems in small villages. Small villages where people don't have access to ophthalmologists. So we started to study what can be done to give easy access to people, easy access to eye care. And I don't know if you know, there's a hospital called Arvind Eye Hospital in South. So they've done a lot of innovation projects around eye care, and they run very large eye care system. Now, eye care issue is so important and so critical that you'll see sometimes in the villages, people who are 55, 60, 65 get cataract, and they completely go out of the society because they're useless. They can't do work, and it really ruins their life, and it also impacts their family because it's a burden for them. So that's called unnecessary blindness, right? Avoidable blindness. You can just do a simple operation which takes 15 minutes, and that person could be active for next 15 years. So there's a lot of productivity loss for our country, right? So we started to think what could be done, and our engineers came up with an idea that eye care equipment those days was very big. So how do you make it compact and help detect eye problems? So we created this headset, and essentially it's very portable, simple, and it has basically a retinal camera, and it transmits the mission image to the doctor in the city, expert, and he tells what is the problem, and then you're told that okay, this is what you need to do, and then they're taken in a cab to the hospital. So it is a very simple solution, but it allows field team who are not doctors to assess how they could treat this kind of a patient, or what kind of a procedure or a surgery is required, right? So it was a very simple solution, and there's a startup which came out of this called Forus. It's one of the largest producers of these kind of equipment now. They're based in Bangalore. Next slide. So I'll probably interesting for you because this is before mobile phone, smartphones became common. So there used to be MP3 players. Okay, maybe you were not born that time. So there were MP3 players, and we were looking at what could be done for rural youth to enjoy music. And those days you had to buy a cassette or a CD, which had 15-20 songs, and they were very expensive. So how do you allow, basically this is targeted again at India, how could you ensure that people can enjoy music? So we created this little kiosk which could be placed anywhere. You see that picture on the right, that's a kiosk. You could download one song. So you can pay probably 2 rupees, 5 rupees or something, and download just one song that you want and not the whole CD. And you download it on your MP3 player. This was again an experiment. But I think, of course, later iTunes and all these, music systems came where you could download one song, whatever song you want, and the smartphone became easy. This is how you think. There's a music, there's a internet, there's a device. So how do you connect these three to allow larger audience to access music? So that was the idea. Next slide, please. This is another problem. I'm just giving you some examples to tell you how to start first thinking about solving a problem. How do you identify a problem? So this was a project where we were looking at ultrasound solution. Do you know ultrasound? Sonography they call it. When there's a baby, when women are pregnant, they do sonography to see the baby, or heart problem, they do sonography, right? So that sonography machine, we're trying to create one for the emerging markets, which is very low cost sonography machine. So one of the reactions from the technology team earlier was to cut all the features down to make it cheap. Small screen, low resolution, fewer functions. And they thought that should work. So we started to do research. We sat in the sonologist clinics and observed. And what we discovered was it's not the technology that matters, it's the productivity that matters. So they're not looking for something extremely high featured sonography machine, but they're looking for something that's very productive. Because in Europe and US, typically a sonologist can work probably for 45 minutes to 1 hour per patient. That's the time they give. And they have probably 4 patients in a day. So they charge also a lot. Whereas if you go to any sonologist in India, you have 15-20 people sitting in a queue, and the sonographer literally in 15, 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 7 minutes, they just do the check, they write something, and they tell you go. So what is required in India to manage that kind of a patient flow? Very fast sonography equipment. And that's where we started to relook at what the features should be. And then we said, okay, the screen should be larger, it should be, resolution should be higher. And then the function should be simpler. So there should be like 1 click, 2 click kind of a interaction with the equipment. And that really helped because our team in US, this was being developed in US, they understood very well what needs to be done. And then of course we went to mobile-based solution. We made something which was very, very, very efficient. And so normally if we had just reduced the features, we would not have gone far in terms of actually fulfilling the needs. We would have created something which is like a half solution, right? So that's what happens. Next slide, please. So these are some of the pictures. So we also looked at the controls. So we also looked at how the control panel is designed, how it should have been designed. So it's like, if the doctor needs to click 3 keys, so how do you make sure that they're together and things like that. So it's a very simple question. Next slide, please. So what came out of that? So this is another thing. So Phyllis, I was working with Phyllis those days, and Phyllis is a healthcare company. They do a lot of health technology, medical devices. So we were wanting to reach healthcare to every village. So how do you make sure that diagnostic, high-end healthcare reaches all the villages? So we formed this project in 2005-06 with Apollo Hospital, ISRO, that's a space agency, the agency that launches satellites, and there's one NGO called Pradhan and Phyllis. So if you see, we designed this van. Basically, this van had all the and other diagnostic machines, ultrasound, X-ray, and it would go from village to village. And it also had a small pharmacy which was run by Apollo and everything. So we did this pilot in Theni, essentially to see how the mobile van works. And those days, of course, we didn't have 4G and mobile phones. On top of the bus, we have a big satellite dish. So it was not practical, but it helped us to learn what happens when you reach out to villages. When you go to villages, what kind of things they need. So go to next slide, please. So then we started to, after studying the first pilot, we started to study what are the requirements. And I think one of the big issue was privacy. So especially for women or older people when they're entering the van or they're going in for X-ray or checkup. So what kind of things should happen? So those were very important things for them. And we designed the entire service system so it offered that kind of a privacy to people that without them feeling awkward. So I think this is a lot of learning there. So what I'm trying to tell you is, in case you get into design or you want to do something in your house or in your society or with community, try something out, do the experiment, because you'll get a lot of feedback. And that could lead to improvement of the solution, right? So always try to improve things. Whatever you're doing, you have to improve things. And that only means that you have to keep learning all the time. Yeah? And sir also mentioned about outcome-based learning, right? So this can improve tremendously if you keep rechecking and checking what you learned and what you need to do, right? So this is another project where we were designing these low-cost cath labs. So they put these stents in the heart. So low-cost cath labs for India. So how do we design them simply, but yet keep them, I would say, more advanced so that the results are good. So maybe next slide. Next slide. Yeah, this is another project I want to talk about. So unfortunately, this is bright, so you can't see the details. So this is a baby warmer. I mean, you may have seen some babies born in families. Sometimes you hear that they had to be kept in an incubator or a warmer or something like that. So this is one of those baby warmers. So one you see on the left cost you probably 10-15 lakhs. One on the right is what is being designed, so which will cost you probably in the range of 30,000, 40,000. Okay? It's very simple. It does the same thing, and it uses the material to the minimal. Maybe previous slide. Yeah. So, and if you see, it's extremely simple design, but very functional and very useful for Indian conditions, and it can do multiple things. So that's why its bottom is open, top is the heater box. Bottom you can put phototherapy units. So again, this came out of observation, talking to neonatologists, visiting some of these pediatric wards to see what happens. And, neonatology is a newborn baby science. So you have newborn babies are in ICU. That's where this equipment is used. So we simplified it, reduced the cost, and improved the efficiency also. So I think those are the things that you can do only if you know who your target is, who you're designing for, what are their needs and problems. Yeah? This is what we do in design. So this is like a medical equipment design. So earlier you saw something was in a healthcare space. Yeah? Next slide please. So this is another project where we're designing phototherapy. So this is gone out a little bit. So which is like, when the babies are born, they have jaundice. And jaundice means, they turn yellowish. Their bilirubin is produced, their livers are not strong when they are immediately born. So what is the solution for that is either take them out in the sunlight or put them under this blue light. And when they put them under the blue light for 6 hours, sometimes 12 hours, so their condition improves. Now, when that is done, so typically these blue light panels, which is up there, this equipment unfortunately is only half. Up there is a blue light panel, and that gives you blue light on the baby. So typically that blue light scatters all over in the ICU. So the whole ICU looks really blue, and that gives nurses a nausea. They feel uneasy, they feel a little dizzy, constantly sitting in the blue light. So we designed this panel in such a way that the blue light stays only on the baby's brain. Size. So it stays only on the baby tray, focused. And all we had to do was use the right LED and use the light optics. Very simple. But that inside, the nurses get nausea looking at the blue light all the time. So that helped us to change things. And it allowed us to also control the light in a way that we could give different level of phototherapy, which was also very innovative. But again, these are very simple innovations, but they come in only after you observe and learn things. Next, please. So, I will just talk about this one project which I am proud of. So, in Phyllis, we are working on clean cooking. So, typically, if you look at the death figures, we never mention people dying of indoor smoke. And what is indoor smoke? So some of you may have seen in the villages or may have experienced in your own homes. Like even my old home, my grandmother's house had a wood stove, chul. So you may have seen chul or chuli varcha soipa. So it tastes good, but people who cook, they really suffer, and especially women and children. So we have almost 500,000 to 600,000 deaths because of indoor smoke, and we don't realize that. And also women who suffer with that, they have a very tough life because they're not very fit, their lungs are not very fit, and babies are. So we started to work on this problem. So we did a lot of research in context. In context means actually you go to a village, stay with people, and that's where you learn a lot. Next slide please. So we spoke to a lot of these women, self-help groups, because we wanted to make sure we make something which could be produced locally. Next slide, please. So we looked at who all could be involved, because we wanted to build it as a entrepreneurship initiative where there's a maker who can make these low smoke stars. Then there's an NGO who could help spread and build awareness. Then there could be end users, and then there could be technical experts, etc. So we try to understand each of these players that will be involved. Next slide, please. Next slide. So we started to do sketches. So now typically in the design, so you make some sketches. If you have an idea, and it doesn't matter how good you can sketch, if you can develop idea of translating your thought in a picture, that's a big step. Doesn't matter whether you want to become a designer or not designer. So designers make sketches like this to see how it will work or what could be done. So this is, so they talk about, like, if you see this is a Jula section, so how insert a cooker inside, the pot on top, how will the hot gas will move, how will the chimney come, or how do you make this modular structure, so where the modules could be made very easily with a simple die. We made some prototypes to test how efficient is this Chula, and it was built by these ladies of self-help group themselves, and it turned out extremely efficient in terms of how much time it took to cook, or how much smoke it generated, etc. Next slide, please. Yeah. So typically, if you see the construction here, this is a CAD model, of course, this is not real. But there were a lot of these small innovations, like, there's this soot collector, because all the soot, carbon, unburned carbon, would go out of chimney. So we're collecting it here in these slabs, so which can be taken out and cleaned. So chimney cleaning becomes less. So these small things really helped a lot in improving this Chula and this efficiency. It got implemented in Guatemala, so a lot of places. Now a lot of entrepreneurs are taking this further. Again, this is a very old project from 2006-07. Next slide, please. These are some of the pictures of how conceptually it should work. Next slide. Yeah, so that soot collector I spoke to you, so that's the kind of soot you collect on that very often. And normally people have to climb up and clean the chimney very often. So that reduced drastically because you could collect soot at the base. Yeah. So these are some of the prototypes that finally people built and were using. Yeah, it won a lot of awards. So, I think that's it. So, what did you learn? What is design all about? I'm going to ask randomly. Tell me, what is design all about? Very, very true. So something that's beneficial for society. Someone from the rear bench who can stand up and tell me what is design all about. Or anybody has a different view. Can somebody talk behind? So, can you tell me what is design all about? What do you think is design all about? Marathi चालेल ना? Marathi हिंदी चालेल. डिझाईन म्हणजे काय कळत? आयडेंटिफिकेशन टाइम लागतो रिसर्च टाइम वाचतो हां बरोबर रिसर्चमुळे टाइम वाचतो बरोबर आहे किती बरोबर आहे सेफ्टी वाढते हां बरोबर किती बरोबर खूप छान ऑब्झर्वेशन अजून कोणाला सांगायचं येस
Design is something that is easy to use and time is saving and easy to understand consumers.
easy to use, time saving, and easy to use, understand.
डिज़ाइन जो है वो एक प्लान होता है ड्राइंग का मतलब बिना ड्राइंग के डिज़ाइन के हम प्रोडक्ट मतलब बता नहीं सकते कि एक्चुअली प्रोडक्ट है
Correct. So design is also literally plan. Actually में देखा जाए तो design मतलब plan. तो उसके लिए ड्राइंग बनाना तो ड्राइंग काफ़ी टाइप की होता है ड्राइंग होता है कभी कभी आपका स्केच बना के ड्राइंग कभी कभी विजन बता के भी कि अगर आपने बोला ये झूले से अगर हमको बोलना है कि ये 6 लाख लोग जो मरते हैं स्मोक करके उनका डेथ रिड्यूस करना है तो उनकी मिशन गोल होगा
The first priority of design is to fulfill the needs of our society and which is very helpful for our society. So we are vastly
Yeah.
we are
Consumers, correct. So we are all consumers. So in a way, we are using all the designs, right? So we do whenever we see a product now, anything you see, you have to ask a question: how was it designed? Be it your mask, be it your shoe, be it your backpack, whatever you like. So fashion design, you must have heard, right? All of you know fashion design. So fashion design is what? How does it help anyone? Want to talk about it, fashion design, then like this come. Why do you have why is there fashion design or what we call this fashion design?
सर फैशन डिज़ाइनिंग मीन्स मतलब कोई ड्रेस मतलब बनानी है तो पहले उसको मतलब डिज़ाइनर जो होता है वो फैशन डिज़ाइन करता है देन उसके बाद फिर वो
सही है क्यों होता है fashion design करने की जरूरत है
to express our idea.
Express our idea.
फॅशन डिझायनिंग मीन्स आपल्याला जे आयडिया असते ती एक पेपरवर एक्सप्लेन किंवा स्केच काढायचं ना त्यानुसार आपण ड्रेस किंवा काही जर बनवत असेल ते स्विच करू शकतो
असं सांगितलं पण
फॅशन डिझाइन ते म्हणले की एक्सप्रेस योurself
I want to give the answer of previous question. What is design? In simple term, in simple language, we can call transformation of our thoughts onto the paper and then implemented into the real product. That is design.
Want to say something? Same. Implementing your ideas. Okay. So fashion design is exists because we want to project our image, right? So because somebody is very traditional, somebody is more modern, somebody is very, somebody may be more funky. It could be different things, right? You want to express a style. Okay? So now whether it's useful to society, is it? Yes and no. Yes and no. When you do it right, it just helps people to present themselves the way they are, their personality. I expected you to be. So I think that's a kind of importance of, say, fashion design. Fashion design becomes bad. You know when it becomes bad? Because every year fashion industry produces how many billion t-shirts? Does anybody know? They produce almost some 10 to 20 some billion t-shirts. Now, what is the population of Earth?
7 billion.
So they're producing more t-shirts than people can wear, right? Why? Because for every event you print a t-shirt, everything you print a t-shirt, sold once or twice. Where does it end? What happens to the t-shirt? It goes in the garbage dump. And of course in India we are very careful in using clothes. We don't realize how clothes are used in other parts of the world, where a lot of clothes get thrown away. That's a lot of environmental impact. Producing cotton is already environmentally damaging. So fashion design can have good effect in terms of making people feel dignified, proud, but it can also be bad because people buy clothes only for one event. And there's also product design. So product design is designing products. Or maybe this pen. So somebody is designing this pen. What is the problem they're solving? If somebody is to design this pen, what is the problem they'll solve? So this has to be really low cost, right? Because we use it so many times. So the material is very little material, simple process, simple liquid, more simple parts, proper high quality. So all those problems, very different. Somebody is designing, say, this fountain pen with a brass or a gold. They are designing some other problem, right? They're looking at luxury or low profit. So that's product design. So if you're designing, say, what is the problem you're solving? Who's computer science, computer engineering? All of you to tell me what is the problem you're solving if you're designing an app. Any program or any app or any solution you're designing, what are you trying to solve? Previous problem. Understand previous problems. Yeah? Okay? New apps. If the new app is for new function, then you okay?
We can help in some software, we can technology, invent new technologies like cameras.
You can't invent camera.
Software, it can help in how presentation is going. It's also say something software we develop, Microsoft have developed. Because of it,
Let me explain. Anybody else has any concept?
Very well put. So if you're designing an app, you need to understand what people need, what need you are fulfilling, and how to make it easy to use. Suppose you are making an app for older people, okay, versus younger people. That will be very different, right? The UI, the workflow. simplicity or complexity will be different, right? So I think that's what happens. Yes. So that's what designing a new app or a program means, because technology is same. Okay? The camera technology is same. Whether you are using it for your mobile phone, or if you are using it for CCTV, or you are using it for some other application. Camera is same. How do you design application for that? You decide what you do with it. Right? Then again, you need to design that application for someone. So very specific user. If you're designing a camera for say older person who's going to use your phone, it will be a very different camera interface compared to a professional photographer. Right? So I think you have to remember that. So all the apps allow you, if you're a professional, how will you, if you're a amateur, how will you use the camera? So सबके लिए उसमें UI में tweak कर सकते हैं. Then if suppose you have to do say some IoT system, then are you aware of IoT system? They're all electronics, electrical, engineering. So IoT is Internet of Things. So just now we talked about a camera and an app. That's an IoT system because camera is connected to internet. Cloud gives you photos. You can share a photo. So similarly, a CCTV camera on the road, you can catch people dumping the signal. So how do they catch? Because the camera takes the picture, they read the number plate. That number plate is sent to the command and control center, right? To the central point. That is there in Aurangabad, or it is a smart city. So command and control center knows that this number plate, a car or a motorbike jumped the signal. You can call the police immediately. So that's a kind of to understand hardware and software. I'm telling you because you are all electronics, electrical and computer engineering. So in future if you work in IoT system, likely you will be collaborating with each other. So design could be many things. Design could be different type. There could be engineering design, there could be electronics design. So there could be many things. But the thinking has to be the same. What is the thinking? Thinking is what people need, what society needs, what the environment or a planet needs. So we need to understand needs, we need to understand problems, and we need to build a vision. या आपका डोक्यात असा क्लियर विचार आला पाहिजे. हमारे दिमाग में क्लियरली आइडिया चाहिए कि हम ये जो डिज़ाइन करें इससे लोगों का क्या भला है, तो क्या फायदा है. So that is a vision. So if you say your vision is to reduce, say, blindness, so that is a vision, then you start thinking of different problems. Okay? So if you just say, okay, I have this camera technology, what can I do? You will not reach the problem of checking the recognize what is inside your eye. So you will not reach that problem if you say what can I do with the camera technology or AI. But if you say I want to reduce the blindness, then you can think, oh, I can use a camera to take a picture of my eye and send it to a doctor or send it to a program where AI will recognize what is the problem. They will read the image and say that this is the problem. Okay? So you have to think of a situation first and then think of a technology. Okay? And mistake most of the times engineers would do is they'll think of a technology first. But what Sir said, value-based exactly. So I think you have to build that mind. That's design thinking. And this is a school that believes in a motto like this. You're very lucky. So to me, I feel just believing that, keep asking yourself the question. What is this? How is it designed? Sometimes you say this is not good, this doesn't work. So you're calling the net banking, the bank password doesn't work. That's because that's a usability issue. It's a user experience issue. Okay? So experience design is another area.
So when this kind of a thing happens, you have to think of that as a design problem and think of it how you would have done it. Okay? Actually, this is like a brain exercise. Okay? So it makes you think, and I feel we need more people in society who think. And this is the one way to start thinking. Why am I doing this? Why is this product like this? What am I going to do with this? Why is this problem? How is it designed? Oh, this looks interesting. What is so special about it? Because काफ़ी बार हम देखते हैं कि ये अच्छी चीज़ है, लेकिन ऐसा नहीं सोचते ये क्यों अच्छी लगती है. So वो सोचना चाहिए. क्योंकि अगर आप टेक्नोलॉजिस्ट हैं या इंजीनियरिंग प्रोफेशनल्स हो, तो आपको ये सोचना बहुत ज़रूरी है. ठीक है. Which time we have? 15 more minutes. So अभी हम सवालों की तरफ जाएंगे. सवाल आपको पूछना है. करियर के बारे में पूछिए, डिज़ाइन के, या तो डिज़ाइन के चॉइसेस के बारे में पूछिए, क्या कर सकते हो. आगे का हायर एजुकेशन के बारे में पूछ सकते हो. कुछ भी सवाल हो तो पूछिए.
Sir, I want to ask you a question. That what are the requirements of our modern industries?
Excellent. So again, see, requirements of an industry cannot be defined, in very general terms. Requirements of the industry have to be defined in a specific context. If you look at Indian industry, so what are the requirements of Indian industry? Today, biggest requirement of Indian industry is creative manpower. Because if you want to make in India real, we will need a lot of creative manpower. So creative doesn't mean somebody who can draw well. Right? Creative means somebody who can think well. We need thinking engineers, we need thinking entrepreneurs. Again, entrepreneurs, as I said, doesn't have to be running a business. You could be an entrepreneur in a company. So we need people like that. Today, unfortunately, we don't have everything like that. It's a first requirement for Indian industry. Second thing, Indian industry needs is looking at our tradition, and we just talked about we have such vast tradition of things in architecture, design, those kind of things. Also, Indian industry also needs to build that confidence that what we can do in the world. Okay, because we've been importing things, okay, or we've been designing for India. So what we need to do is not just make in India, but design in India and make in India. So to me, I feel that would be a winning position for India if we can start doing that. And if you look at China, for example, they started to make things, copy things, make things for world, and now they are a design and innovation powerhouse. We may not like China, but what they can do is amazing. And the speed at which they can do it. And they work like a team, like absolutely seamlessly. So I worked in China for 6 years, and their speed is 4 times our speed, at least. So to me, I feel we need to work like that. I think our minds are slightly bureaucratic in a way, every Indian, because we think of a lot of things and we think of risk and failures and all kinds of things. Whereas there, they'll just say, okay, this is practice. And I feel the industry needs people who have that attitude to get. Whereas we get into things, who will say, what will say, who will approve, can you approve, why will you approve? So all kinds of things. We want to get approval from a lot of people. We don't do things. Okay? So I think that's why everybody at the end of the day becomes like a prisoner. There's no complete boundary, but maybe so we need people who can play the game, take initiative. If you're playing a T20 game in the ground, you're not asking your captain, should I hit a 6 or 4? You can play the game. So we need people like that. So I would put it as that. I don't think we have dearth of technology or engineering talent today in India. I don't think we have any issue about access to technologies. So to me, we need that kind of a mindset change. Anybody has any questions? Yes, there are lots of courses on design. So, if you heard of, there are a lot of institutes. You heard of National Institute of Design? Okay, there are all over the country. All the IITs now have design. Then there's a MIT, IT. It's a National Institute of Technology, Industry Design.
Analyze things by that's a good qualification. Drawing is a skill to learn. To me, there's a lot of potential for those who want to do something. I think there are many schools, many opportunities to do. All over north, south, east, west, everywhere there are design schools. I don't know if Aurangabad has any design school. I'm sure there will be soon. Any question? That's it.
Sir, when you have asked the question that how many of you become true entrepreneurs, and many few students said that they want to become entrepreneur, and many of them said they want to do job. Sir, so why there is different people, students saying that they want to do job and entrepreneur? And my question is also that how we can get rid of that fear that we can also do an entrepreneur instead of doing job.
It's an excellent question, and fortunately we have somebody from Magic here, and what they're trying to do is exactly what we're asking, to create new entrepreneurs. So to reduce that fear, so they offer a lot of mentorship, a lot of thinking. In fact, this kind of talk is also part of that, trying to open up people's minds. Right? So it's not an easy thing. A lot of us come from backgrounds which are not entrepreneurial, right? We come from families of teachers, or farmers, or doctors, something that are not used to starting a business. Then it becomes a barrier. But Magic is exactly doing that. So to me, what I suggest is somebody wants to become an entrepreneur and doesn't know how. I feel best to talk to organizations like Magic, talk to your school professors, say how do we make a small group that you want to learn about entrepreneurship. I think Magic and the school or college also will come forward and say, okay, let's do a session on entrepreneurship. So I feel it should be possible, but I don't know if that was your question.
Okay, sir, and it is necessary to be financially strong if we want to start up our own business, or we can say entrepreneur.
I think that's a big myth. It's not true at all. So what you need to be strong at is your idea. One is your idea, second is your passion, that you believe in that idea, and third is perseverance. Because you don't build enterprise in one day. It is a long process. So you need to be a lot of perseverance. Chikati is also jigar, you need to stay at it, you need to be passionate, you need an idea. I think today, unfortunately, we are in a world where all these three things are there, but money flows. Magic gives you, so told you, give you funding for prototype, testing, trials. And to me, even failing as an entrepreneur is not a bad idea, it teaches you a lot of things. Yeah.
Someone my name is Arjun Sharma, so I want to ask why are you doing new technologies? If there are any loss for the society or in so please excel for the society. New technology.
It's a very deep question. So the question, I'm just saying it again. Tell me whether I'm saying it right. So what's your name? Harsh. So Harsh's question is, does the society really need new technology? Is it useful for society, right? So I think it's an excellent question. And again, like many things, I'm saying yes and no. Why? Yes, because our society problems are so complicated, so complicated. So we have environmental problem, we have resource problem, petrol is finishing, we have wars, we have water issue. Aurangabad has water coming once a day. So I think lot of challenges, and they're very complicated problems. Right? So how do you solve the complicated problems? So two ways. One is we need to slow down. Everybody slows down. We say, okay, we don't grow 15%, 10% every year, but everybody just slows down. And we need simple life. But that's not going to happen. So we want to keep progressing. We have a lot of new generations coming in, new needs coming in, new problems coming in. So we will need new technologies. Right? Now what happens is, when we create technology for today, like electric vehicles, for example. Now a lot of people believe electric vehicles will solve the problem of pollution. Yeah? So if you just talk about a car moving on the road, yes, but electric vehicle is extremely carbon intensive to produce. Yeah? And end of life, you have to throw the batteries, is also dangerous. So what happens is, constantly trying to solve a problem, same problem, by a new technology or a new product, always creates a new problem. Then we create another technology, another product to solve that problem. So to me, we need new technologies. We need to look at problems differently. If you don't do that, then there's a problem. Because if we say that, okay, we have a problem of emission, so instead of creating electric cars, if we focus on public transport, a good public transport, because if you see, or we make small distances, people can travel on cycles. I think that is a lot more beneficial in terms of how our society will benefit, rather than just inventing another technology which creates another problem. So to me, we need, as humanity, we need a very balanced approach. We need, sort of, I would say, more sensible approach. Unfortunately, we are not good at doing such things. As human beings, we are very destructive. We think the planet is given to us for our enjoyment. So we destroy the planet on a daily basis. So, and soon we'll cross 2 degrees temperature rise. And after that, there's going to be a downfall to 2100, I guess. So to me, things are not very pleasant. And we need to be very, very cautious in our usual approach, how we consume things. I think that's what we can do, but technologies, I think that's a good way to think what to be done differently. And I feel those who can come up with a solution that solve these complicated problems, I think it could be good startups according to me. And I think it is looking at such initiatives. And there are a lot of them coming up. In fact, there's a whole funding mechanism that's emerged called ESG, Environmentally Sustainable and Governance Finance. And ESG finance globally now is growing very fast, because all the shareholders are making sure that the money is not invested into companies that pollute or companies that don't do right things. So to me, that ESG will help if you have ideas which are right technology. It's not about new technology, it's about right technology. If you have that, then there will be funding available for such things, for sure. Right? So any last question or a burning issue, any feedback, comment? Anybody wants to say something? otherwise, lunchtime. I'll not stop you from having, or we can continue for 1 hour.
So before leaving, just before leaving, I wanted to take one question which was regarding to entrepreneurship. So can you please repeat? Why few people want to become an entrepreneur?
Yes.
They are more prefer to going for jobs. आपली जी मनाची जी संकल्पना आहे आणि वरती always try to build it's more comfortable तुम्हाला पण त्या भाषेमध्ये आपलं जे मनाचं संकल्पना आहे आपण कॉलेजेसमध्ये पॉलिटेक्निक करतो नंतर इंजिनिअरिंग करतो आणि एक आपली पूर्ण बॅच असते जे एक ट्रेंड असतो या वर्षी सगळे इंजिनियर्स बनतात दुसऱ्या वर्षी सगळे मेकॅनिकल ट्रेंड आहे एका टायमाला सगळं IT ट्रेंड आहे कधीतरी सिव्हिल ट्रेंड आहे आणि आपण त्या ट्रेंडच्या सोबत सगळे स्टुडंट्स पाहत जातात आणि बेसिकली जेव्हा ती बॅच कम्प्लीट होते आणि जेव्हा ते पासआउट होऊन बाहेर पडतात तेव्हा एवढे म्हणजे सगळ्यांना जॉब पाहिजे असते पण तेवढे ऑपॉर्च्युनिटीज अवेलेबल नसतात आणि लिमिटेड जे एकदम हाय स्पीड स्टुडंट्स असतात ते पिकअप होऊन जातात इट इज नॉट अबाउट मार्क्स अगेन मी तुम्हाला सांगतो तुमच्या मार्क्सवरती तुम्ही फक्त त्या मार्क्सच्या बेसिसवरती एलिजिबिलिटी क्रायटेरिया ट्रॅक करा बट सिलेक्ट तेच लोक होतात त्यांच्यामध्ये हे स्किल्स आहेत स्किल्स म्हणजे काय जे स्वतःहून जसं प्रोॲक्टिव्हली कुठली गोष्ट टेक ओव्हर करतात आता मी त्या पॉईंटवरती येतो वाय जॉब्स अँड एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप जॉब इज व्हेरी इझी टू गेट म्हणजे तुम्ही उभे राहिले आणि सांगितलं माझं हे एज्युकेशन आहे आय हॅव टू टेक इट आणि तुमचं काही माइंडसेट असतं माझं कॅपॅसिटी इज 25,000 मला 25,000 जॉब पाहिजे कॅम्पसमधून सिलेक्ट झालो आणि कुठला तरी जॉब लागला ते जर आपल्याला पाहिजे असेल सगळे सिलेक्ट त्या कॅम्पसच्या लाईनमध्ये असतात पण एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप अगर करायची असेल स्वतःचा कुठला व्यवसाय अगर चालू करायचा असेल तर त्याला जे लागणारं भांडवल प्लस माइंडसेट प्लस प्रॉब्लेम स्टेटमेंट हे सगळ्या गोष्टीला खूप वेळ लागतो तुम्ही अगर एक प्रोजेक्ट तुमचा जो काही प्रोजेक्ट असेल आज आय डोंट नो मीन्स लाईक पॉलिटेक्निक हॅव अ प्रोजेक्ट नॉट बट तुमचा अगर प्रोजेक्ट तुम्ही करायचे ठरवत असेल तर अगर अशा प्रकारचा असू शकतो की जो सोसायटीला काहीतरी बेनिफिट देऊ शकतो एकानं किराणा दुकान टाकली आणि आपण तीच किराणा दुकान टाकायची बाजूला कारण की धंदा होऊ शकतो म्हणून तर तुम्हाला आता मार्केट एवढं मोठं आहे आणि एवढं पॉप्युलेशन आहे की त्याचं 100 होतं तर आपलं पण 100 होऊन जाईल बट तुम्हाला अगर 100चे अगर युनिकॉर्न जे म्हणतो 7,000 करोड तुम्ही अगर रेव्हेन्यू जनरेट झाला तर त्याला युनिकॉर्न म्हणतो आपण स्टार्टअप्समध्ये आज तुम्ही शार्क टँक अगर बघत असेल भरपूर फेसबुकवरती आणि शार्क टँक नावाचा कन्सेप्ट चालू झाला आणि हे जे 2 वर्ष आताचे स्टार्टिंग फ्रॉम दिस बट हे फक्त लक्षात राहू दे प्रॉब्लेम स्टेटमेंट तुम्ही कुठला प्रॉब्लेम सॉल्व्ह करताय आणि त्याच्यावर अगर तुमचा बिझनेस असेल तर इट विल बी इन अनदर लेवल म्हणजे तुम्हाला कोणी अडवू नाही शकत आणि ते तुमचं एक प्रॉब्लेम सॉल्विंग असेल हॉटेल टाकणं या किराणा दुकान टाकणं या आपले सर्व्हिसेस देणं हे जनरल चालत जाणार आणि पॉप्युलेशन वाढत चालली की काम दबावपणा पण होणार बट अगर तुमच्या प्रॉब्लेमवर तुम्ही डेडिकेटेडली काम करून अगर त्याला सॉल्व्ह करत असेल सो दॅट विल ॲक्च्युअली गिव्ह यू गुड इन्कम आणि हे सगळं करण्यासाठी जी ताकद लागते ते तुमच्यात आहे का हे बघा आणि सुरुवात करा त्याच्यामुळे जॉब्स आर इझियर देन टू बिकम अ एंटरप्रेन्योर आणि टू बिकम अ एंटरप्रेन्योर हे सगळे सिरीज ऑफ ॲक्टिव्हिटीज यू हॅव टू डू आणि स्टार्ट अर्ली म्हणजे आज तुमचं 21-22 एज असेल तुम्ही आज सुरुवात केली की माझं इंजिनिअरिंग होस्टर या पॉलिटेक्निक कम्प्लीट होस्टर मला ही गोष्ट कम्प्लीट करायची आहे या मला या फील्डमध्ये माझी इंजिनिअरिंग आणि बी मेकॅनिकल विथ एमबीए प्रोडक्शन अँड ऑपरेशन्स 5 years ऑफ कॉर्पोरेट एक्सपिरियन्स 10 years इन स्टार्टअप एक्सपिरियन्स सर्व सांगितलं फेल झालं कुठलं एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप इज नॉट अ प्रॉब्लेम मी स्टार्ट एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप उभं करून बंद पडले काही चालू झाले So this is the background where we come from. So you have to just start struggling. आणि आता तुमच्या इंजिनिअरिंग या पॉलिटेक्निकच्या शेवटपर्यंत जर तुम्हाला वाटत असेल की आपल्याला हे कुठला तरी बिझनेस सुरू करणं आहे तर नक्कीच तुम्ही करू शकता स्टार्ट अर्ली आणि एक प्रॉब्लेम स्टेटमेंट त्या 2 गोष्टी लक्षात ठेवा थँक्यू
if you should have passion, and if you have perseverance, definitely you will be able to achieve that kind of success and the glory of success. So, thank you, sir, for very valuable guidance. Sir has traveled from Bangalore to Pune and Pune to Aurangabad for this purpose only. So, I am also thankful for that. So, and Siti sir also told that anything is possible, just you need to start. Okay. So definitely the Polytechnic, main purpose of Polytechnic is to start an entrepreneurship. More and more students should start their own shop, own firm, own enterprise. Definitely you have many options, such as you can go for government job, you can go for private job, you can also study for higher studies in abroad or in other states also. So there are lots of opportunities, but basic focus, your main focus, your agenda should be on entrepreneurship. Definitely you can also do this, definitely if you have that idea, if you have that passion. So thank you. Now I invite Professor Madan sir, academic in charge of CSMSS Polytechnic, to propose both of things.
Sir. So for that we have started one concept that is proption, means that problems with solution. So in that concept we our students try to find the problems and trying to get their solution through their major projects. So from on behalf of CSMSS College of Polytechnic, I would like to thanks Mr. Unmesh Kulkarni sir, who honored today's function with his inspirational thoughts about design thinking, and I also like to thank Shiti Chaudhary sir for arranging such type of program for our students. I also like to thank our management, our beloved principal, for giving permission to this program, and I would also like to thank coordinator of this program, Sonone sir, all the HODs and staff members of CSMSS College of Polytechnic, and last but not the least, our students for attending this program patiently. Thank you so much. I would request all the students to stand up for national anthem.